Hello yogis, my name is April and welcome to the Yoga Ranger Studio and welcome to our practice today. Today we're going to be focusing on the shoulders and upper back space to build both strength and opening. So these can be areas that for me, I know personally, are very tight, very stiff, very stuck. And sometimes that tightness can be from stress building up and everything kind of clenching together. And sometimes that tightness can be from weakness in the upper back space. And I know that for a lot of people, this space is not something we probably work on a lot. We work on a lot more the lower body. And so this is kind of focusing on this upper back and shoulder space. For this practice, you don't need any props, but if you feel like you would like to have some props around you for your comfort, for your knees, for your wrists, for your body, please feel free to have those nearby and use whatever makes sense for you and modify or whatever's appropriate for you. So we're going to start in a seat. You can either have your feet tucked underneath you and maybe a block underneath your seat, or you can be cross-legged. It doesn't matter which one you are. We're going to start with just some gentle sun salutations seated. So inhaling, bringing your arms up overhead, looking up at your palms. Exhale, flowing down through the center line. 4 more of these, just warming up the body, bringing some space into the shoulders and the chest and the upper back and the neck. All these spaces tied together. Nice deep inhale, nice deep exhale as you flow down the center line. 2 more. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Last one. Inhaling up, reaching out through the fingertips, spreading the fingers wide, exhaling down. This time we're going to inhale, reaching up, and we're going to exhale, pull those elbows down and back. Inhaling up. And exhale, pulling the elbows down and back, kind of pulling the shoulder blades together. Inhaling up and elbows down. A little half angel here. Inhaling up. Last 2, exhaling down and up. Here we're going to hold, taking those elbows back, the shoulders back, and tucking the floating ribs in. So these ribs that are at the very base, we tend to kind of jut out a little bit. Tucking those in and engaging the core as we open up through the shoulders and the shoulder space. Fingers wide and spread, palms open. One more deep inhale and exhale. And as you exhale, let those arms come down. You'll start to feel maybe a little warmth building up in the shoulders. Starting to do some shoulder rolls, nice big circles. Bringing those shoulders way forward, up toward the ears and down toward the back. 2 more. And the bigger you make these circles, the more you're going to feel that opening. And then we're going to change direction, circling the other way. So bring those shoulders back and up and around toward the front, letting your arms be free, your hands be free, be open. Some space here. 2 more. Up and around. And 1 more. Coming back to center. Taking your palms out wide. We're going to reach those fingers out and we're going to do a little bit of nerve flossing for the neck and the shoulders. So you're going to turn your right palm up and look to the left. And then we're going to switch. Palm facing up on the left, looking over toward the right. Back over toward the left. And back to the right. Back and forth 3 or 4 more times on each side. Just finding a little movement here. Our necks and our shoulders and our upper back are all so interwoven that if we take the time to really open up this space, we might find a little bit more. 1 more time on each side, just finding a little bit of movement. Coming back to center, taking those hands around behind you, interlacing the fingers, rolling the shoulders back, lifting the heart center. And then coming on to all 4s. We've done a lot of kind of opening up. So here we're going to just do a little bit of stretching of the shoulders. So take that left arm up and tuck it all the way underneath, threading the needle. Twisting, maybe using that right palm to open up a little bit more. 2 more breaths. Coming back up, switching sides, right arm sweeps up, tuck it all the way underneath. Use that left palm to open up a little bit more. And coming back to center, onto all fours. We do something called a little shoulder flossing. So you're gonna let your chest drop down in between your shoulder blades, and then you're gonna press up, rounding that space in between the shoulders, making a little almost cat-cow in between your shoulders. Back up, engage your core, lowering back down, and pressing back up 2 more times, letting it soften. And then pressing through your fingertips, really rounding that space between the shoulder blades at the top. Last one, rolling up. And then starting to do some cat-cow here. So arching and rounding the back, belly toward the floor. And then rounding up, belly toward the spine. 2 more at your own breath pace here. Really trying to round through that upper back on your cat arch. Coming back to center, shifting your hips back just a little bit. Walk your hands out and take them a little wider, letting them be more open for the space between your shoulder blades. Coming into our heart melting pose, forehead to the floor, chin to the floor, whatever feels comfortable for you. If you don't feel a lot here, you can always take blocks or a bolster underneath your hands. It's going to add a little bit more dimension to this pose. And then starting to slowly lift up. Come back to center. Maybe doing a cat-cow or 2. And just finding some movement here. Staying here on all fours, you're going to go ahead and flip your toes, walk your hands a little bit wider, and lift up into downward facing dog. So we're going to walk our feet a little bit further away, and this is going to focus more of the stretch on our upper back than on our legs. So taking a super wide downward facing dog. And then rocking forward to plank, lowering down the knees, coming all the way down to the floor. And coming into a forearm plank. So palms together here, elbows underneath the shoulders, lifting up and pressing through those elbows and those forearms to really round in between the shoulders. So we often think of this as a core pose. It is also an excellent pose for the upper back and shoulders. Building some strength here. 2 more breaths. And then starting to lift your hips a little bit into a pike. Walk your feet a little bit closer. And then start to drop your knees down. Come back into child's pose. Hands alongside your hips. Let your shoulders rest here. Your upper back round, the shoulders to round down toward the floor. Get really soft in that space in between. And then come back onto all fours. And turn that left foot out to the left. Right foot reaches out into a modified side plank. Reach that right arm up. And we're going to do some little circles here. So circling up over your head. 3 times on each side, each direction. And then swiveling back again. Taking that arm straight up toward the ceiling, pressing through the palm of that left hand. Reach up as high as you can. And then bring that hand back down. We're going to switch sides. Same thing here. Left leg out this time, left arm up. We're going to start those circle sweeps. When you've done your 3 on one direction, change directions. Really pressing through that right wrist, that right thumb, reaching up as high as you can, pressing through the arm. Coming back to all fours. Take a little floor balancing pose here. So we're going to take our right foot out behind us, left arm out in front of us. And we're going to add a little dimension to this. We're going to turn the palm up on that left hand, and we're going to bend the elbow just a little bit so we can look at that left palm. Engaging the core. But also building some strength in a different way in that shoulder. Dropping hand and knee down. Switching sides. Right arm goes out, turn the palm up, bend the elbow, look at it as if you're looking in a mirror. Engage the core, press through the heel. And exhale, come back down. This time take the knees wide, big toes together, elbows out in front of you. And take the arms once again really wide, the hands really wide. This gives you some more space in between your shoulder blades. Slowly start to come back up. Flip your toes, lift your hips, come back into your very, very wide downward facing dog where your feet are way far away from your hands. And then slowly start to make your way up to the top of your mat. Big toes together or nearby, folding over your legs. Inhale, sweep hands all the way up to the top. And then exhale, take that left wrist into your right hand and lean over toward that right side. Little crescent pose here, really opening up that space right underneath the shoulder. And the sideways, the side body, giving us a little bit more space. Inhale back to center. Other side, same thing, reaching for that right wrist with the left hand, leaning over toward the left. Coming back through center, hands around behind you, interlace the fingers, push those knuckles toward the floor. And then exhale, fold forward. Taking your feet a little bit further apart. You're going to take your palms and flip them upside down underneath your feet. Now this may be a little bit challenging. If you want a little bit more space here for this so you feel a little more balanced, start to straighten out your legs. It's going to kind of open up that area of your shoulders and your arms as well as your hamstrings and your calves. Palms facing up, touching the bottoms of your feet. Don't worry if your knees are bent. It's more about the upper shoulder space and the arms and hands. Go ahead and release. Walk your toes together. And you're going to take your knees and bend them, take them out a little bit wider and come into a little squat on your toes. So for those of you who have a crow practice, you can come into crow from here, or you can just come into the prep for crow. Either one is good for you. It's good for building some strength in your hands, wrists, shoulders, and upper back. So walk your hands out a little bit further. Lift up your knees as high as you can. Tuck them into your armpits or your upper arms and start to tilt forward, looking up ahead. So if you look at your toes, your head is going to drop down. Lift up, arch and round. Stay here in the crow prep or come into crow by lifting your feet off the floor, even just a little bit, one toe at a time. Start to lean back, drop back. Take a couple of breaths here. And then we're going to try one more time. Once again, walking your hands out, lifting up those knees as high as you can get them, leaning forward, coming up, maybe lifting a toe off at a time, or staying with both toes on the floor. That's okay too. Start to lean back. Bring those knees together, fold forward, shake your arms out a little bit, shake your head out. Go ahead and sweep your arms all the way up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, circle, sweep up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, palms down, step back into plank. Here you can once again take that modified knee down side plank, or you can just start to roll into the outside of that left foot. Come into any version of side plank that you want. Pressing through that heel of the hand, the elbow, the shoulder, strengthening out through it. Exhale that hand down. Downward facing dog. Then coming into your plank. Here again, whatever modification you need to take for your side plank, take that. Coming back to center, walking your feet up and coming to a seat. So a lot of our practices include things with our hands facing forward, and it's really good to balance that out with a reverse positioning. So taking your fingers, pointing them towards your feet, lean back and lift your heart, pressing through the heels of the hands, the web of your fingers and the tips of your fingers. And if you would like to, you can take your feet a little bit wider, lift your hips, come into reverse tabletop. And slowly lower down. Take your hands in front of you, shake them out, circle the wrists. The wrists get a good workout with your shoulders as well. Come all the way down. Bring your knees into your chest, give them a little squeeze. And then gently shift your hips a little bit over toward the right, and then drop your knees over toward the left. Take that right arm out to the right, stretch out through the fingertips. 5 deep breaths here. Coming back through center, shifting hips over toward the left, bringing knees up, dropping them toward the right this time, taking left hand over toward the left, looking out over your left fingertips if that's appropriate for you today. And gently coming back through center, coming into whatever Savasana makes sense for you, and that could be feet wide, knees drop together, arms out to the side. Gently tuck your shoulder blades underneath, or you could take your feet long, or even come onto your side for a side lying Savasana. Take a couple of big deep inhales, a couple of exhales. Closing your eyes or softening your gaze and noticing how your shoulders feel. There may be a little warmth, a little heat over the next few days. Maybe there'll be a little bit of tenderness and soreness, but know that some minor soreness, minor, I mean not debilitating, but minor soreness is actually not unusual for helping to kind of build some strength in an area of the body, especially in the muscles. Letting your body sink in and relax. Savasana always being that beautiful reminder that you have worked hard. And now is your reward for that hard work is to just soften and relax and settle in for a few breaths. Taking just 5 more breaths here. I invite you to remain here as long as you can or as possible. But if this is the time that you have for your practice, go ahead and take your arms up overhead, lengthen out through your toes in a good morning stretch, reaching out through the fingers and toes, and then gently rolling to your right side and making your way very slowly up to a seat of any kind that feels comfortable for you. Bringing your palms up or palms down in your lap. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. I hope you enjoyed this practice, and I hope you build some more comfort, some more opening, and some more strength in the upper shoulders and upper back to help support you in anything that you choose to do in your life. Wishing you the most wonderful week. Lucy says goodbye and have a great week.